All right, guys.
All right, I think we're good. Thanks, Matt. Bye. Good afternoon. It is time for health enhanced discussions about everything, because everything affects your health. It is, well, you can't think, breathe, or do anything without it affecting your health. And of course, there's certain things that we do and we'll talk about, especially biogenics and Scalar today. But I want to remind you also of three of my favorite topics. At the top of that list is Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. One serving, 2 tablespoons, is equal to 3.75 servings of good fruits and vegetables. If the average American would add that to their health, they could double the benefit of their, actually triple the benefit of their ordinary nutrition, because they don't get enough borax. Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate in the produce department at real grocery stores. It lowers your blood pressure, it lowers your cholesterol, it helps you sleep better, it's anti-inflammatory, the taste is wonderful. Once you tried it, you won't want to be without it in the produce department at real grocery stores. And of course, this time during the stagnation, and that's being kind, that's going on in the country, you must be in touch with your best health food sources. And Nature Blessed is one of them for the food, but for the health food stores, you want Spring Valley Natural Foods on South Glenstone, right there next to FedEx office. Loaded with goodies, thousands of goodies, and service. You know, I like to go in because I don't know how to find anything in there, but they come out to help you. And of course, they carry all my goodies. Dr. Shealy's Essentials, or Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, my magnesium lotion, our 5 bliss oils, but hundreds of other goodies. Spring Valley Natural Foods, the place where I shop, and you should too. And of course, acupuncture. Been around for only 4,000 years, and there's only one acupuncturist I can recommend. Wellness Concepts Clinic with Dr. Jill, 1200 East Woodhurst Drive, Suite R300, 877-1300, wellnessconceptsclinic.com, the worldwide acupuncturist that I can recommend. And now we are here to talk about all kinds of things, but let's start with the introduction of BIOGENICS, BIOGENICS Course, COURSE.com. We are about to release the BIOGENICS Guided Imagery Brain Training Course. For the first time, we're delivering a full online training course with over 60 MP3s to help you eliminate stress, cope with everyday life, and improve your daily quality of life. Holistically treat chronic pain, holistically treat chronic illness, holistically treat depression and anxiety, stress reduction, optimize your body, mind, and spirit, the skill and control of self-regulation. We've been doing it for 47 years, and you can be part of it now at 80% off what it would cost you to buy all this separately.
Exactly. And I just want to say, this is, it's not just about the MP3s, it's about what MP3s can do for the person, for you. What are some of the benefits that people will get out of this course? Well, first of all, self-regulation. That's priceless.
Decreasing anxiety and depression at the top of the list. I had this morning a woman who came in with a headache of 7 out of 10.
Mhm.
I guided her for 3 minutes in autogenic training, the basic foundation. Her pain went down to 0.
Gotcha.
I've dropped blood pressure like that, or seen it drop, improved oxygenation of people with lung disease. You know, this is truly gaining control over your whole physiology, your chemistry, your electricity, your physical, mental, emotional, chemical health.
So practically allow the person to live their best life, optimize their being. Now, what is the price on that? How?
Well, it's the most important thing in your life.
Yes.
I mean, in my opinion, Now, I've been practicing this since 1972. And fortunately, once you practice it for 3 months, you don't have to do it a minute or two a day because it retrains the control center of your brain, the hypothalamus. Tiny little part, that big on both sides. But it is the control center. And in most people, it's out of whack.
Mhm. And what I'd like to say is part of the course. We've been teaching the course in various settings, as a matter of fact, for decades. What was the first the first presentation that you've done with biogenics? Was it professional or was it lay people, personal?
Well, let me see. That would have been about 19. I mean, I began to use it, but it became biogenics in 1977. That's when I got my PhD in psychology. And so I would say it was at a national medical meeting.
Yes, but since then we've actually taught it
everywhere.
Everywhere, yes. And now it's available online. And is there a reason not to do it?
Well, the only reason not to do it is laziness.
Yes.
You are worth it. Remember, look in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm okay because God does not create junk. To me, that's the single most important thing. You are worth it. Unless you are a criminal perpetuating the current pseudodemic, you're worth it.
Yes, fully agree. Yeah.
So, folks, if you want your access at 80% off the cost of all these individually, now is the time to go to BIOGENICS Course, all one word, .com.
Wonderful. Now, I understand we also have another topic that we're going to cover today before we get into questions in the second half.
Right. And that is Scalar. Now, I have to say, Scalar to me is one of the most mysterious things in the world. According to quantum physicists, all empty space in the universe is filled with scalar energy, all of it. And according again to quantum physicists, in empty space the size of a helium molecule, which is smaller than that, the smallest physical thing that we know, there's enough energy to boil all of the world's oceans if it's properly focused. And Nikola Tesla was the first person to really focus it. He demonstrated that he could actually run an automobile by focusing scalar energy at no cost. Rockefeller, of course, and Edison did everything in their power to destroy his work because they didn't want free energy.
It sounds like censorship has been around for a long time.
Well, the Committee of 300 and all of their evil Lucerian pawns have been around for at least almost 300 years. Well, in 7 years, it'll be 300 years. But the point is, scalar energy, we got interested in it several years ago and produced this wonderful little device here. This is scalar energy amplified with sapphire. Sapphire enhances all energy. And we demonstrated that just an average of 1 hour a day of exposure to this energy reduces adrenomedullin by over 50%, just an hour a day. Adrenomedullin is the one bad chemical. It's worse than cortisol. It's the stress reaction hormone. And a normal level would be like somewhere between 1 and 10. Our average patient had over 150. And it came down by 58% in 1 month. Now, we've demonstrated also that just 3 hours of exposure to it reduces free radicals over 50% just in 3 hours. Now, this little device, the energy goes out at 45-degree angle. So this little device can cover this entire 15-foot room. And one of the interesting side effects is, and I'm not the only one, several of my friends have had the same effect, it has gotten rid of over 50% of my gray hair.
I'll make a little joke, but it's actually not a joke. It got rid of my 100% of gray hair. Now,
you only had about 2.
I had 2, that's right, and now it's gone. So I am gray hair free, but
I have no gray hair on my body, and my head is at least 50% lifted. But that's minor. The more important thing is reduction of free radicals. That is the reaction of your body to, well, excess oxygenation, the byproduct of too much control, if you will, or damage to your body. Now, there are many, many other things that Scalar can do. It is phenomenal at reducing stress in every conceivable way. It is, well, I've got a whole list of them here. It increases your whole body energy. It increases your uptake of good nutrients from your food. It increases the elimination of toxicity. It cleanses the blood of toxins. It increases your mental capacity. It balances everything in your body.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, we also had some side effects otherwise, and we usually speak of the side effects or the bad things, but these are the good things: unanticipated blood pressure reduction,
Yes,
and sugar reduction in diabetics and hypertensive people
exactly
as well. Yeah.
So ideally, I mean, we have one, each of us in our office at us all day, and we also have one by our bed, angled at the top of the bed, because you get it all night while you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. So basically, for 8 hours at night at least, and then maybe for 5 or 6 hours during the day, but roughly over half of the 24 hours, we're being exposed to scalar energy.
And let's talk about the number one and the most important thing: no harm that we know of.
None whatsoever.
Safe. Yes.
I mean, this stuff is, well, I think of it this way. If all of this empty space is filled with scalar energy, that is the power of God. And we're breathing it. Every time you take a breath, you are breathing it. So if you use biogenics to focus your attention, and you're exposed to the adrenomedular scalar device, you're optimizing your health in every way that we could think of.
One of my among my favorites. There's lots of them actually, but biogenics exercises that has been recorded, one actually has to do with optimizing scalar energy.
Yes, I like that's one of my favorites, because I really like at least once or twice a day to remind myself to think about the fact I am breathing in God's energy, and I ask my brain and body to focus it on healing and optimizing the energy of this body.
And I just want to say, everything works in unison. Holistic means, well, literally mind, body, spirit. So this, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is more of a physical type of a measure. Well, or electromagnetic, I should say.
Yeah, the interesting thing about scalar is, as far as I can tell, scalar energy is morphed into making this microphone. It is morphed into making your body. It is morphed into making your glass. In other words, it is the transference of all of this God energy into everything physical. It is the foundation for physical and electrical and chemical energy.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating. Now, the science behind it, especially the quantum world and everything else, there's so much into this.
It is overwhelming. And I just like to think of it as it's here, it's everywhere, and I'm just focusing it.
And I do want to say that, this is where the concept of being here in the present moment, that's the power of the present moment. The power of the here and now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you got some more interesting material here, right?
Scalar energy is from the strongest to the weakest of all energy. It's part of it. It is embedded in high quality products. You can repair even disruptive effects of X-rays. It can help heal and prevent cancer. And most important, I think, is it bonds with your DNA. Well, your DNA is made out of focused scalar energy. That's part of the magnificence of creation itself.
And one of the 37 books that I think you have written is, I believe, titled Energy Medicine.
Indeed it is. And everything that we know is made up in some way originally of scalar energy.
Wonderful. And I'd like to say, if a person wants to benefit from that, it's not just theoretical, it's actually in a device form.
Exactly.
And I love the fact that we always do research and studies. We don't just make claims.
Exactly. And of course, interestingly, we are just started yesterday with our other research project on anandamide.
Yes.
And we're going to prove, I hope,
Mm.
that our gamma pimp raises anandamide, the bliss hormone. And we're going to also compare it with autogenic training, part of the biogenics package. So everything affects everything.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And we can keep talking, or if we want to open up to the questions, I should say. What do you think?
Let's go ahead and open up to questions, because we've opened some very interesting possibilities for you to ask questions about anything. And if you want to ask a question, give us a call at 417-447-1777. And don't forget, now is the hour. In another 35 minutes or so, we won't be here to answer your questions, but this is your time this week to get free information right now on the air at 417-447-1777. 92.3 FM KICK.
Mm-hmm.
Now, folks, until we get that first call, we will talk about holistic medicine. Today, I had two people who came in for hypertension. One was a man who was thin, looked healthy, but his blood pressure was out the sky. I mean, it took 190 or 105. And I can guarantee that he can bring his blood pressure under control without a drug. As I said to him, yes, you can take up to 3 antihypertensive drugs, and that will give you a 45% chance of correcting your blood pressure, and a 100% chance of chronic fatigue. And if you're a male, 100% chance of erectile dysfunction, but who cares? You don't have the energy anyway. But we can control hypertension virtually 99.9% of the time, at least. The only people who can is those who won't.
Exactly.
It does require a little bit of effort with certain supplements and certain mental techniques. But compared to the drugs, it's 100% safe. Now, to me, that's what holistic medicine is about, safety. At the foundation for every technique that we would include in holism, it has to be safe.
And the second step, it has to work. Otherwise, we don't mention it.
And it is, by the way, an integration of body, mind, and soul through the spirit to God.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole foundation of the word and the meaning of holistic. So if you have a question about anything, because everything is related to your health, give us a call right now at 417-447-1777. I'm not going to give the number again until we get that first call. So meantime, you'll have to listen to us.
Yep. And since we got a little time, I just want to mention, and I also had a number of clients today, and the interesting thing is, and this is something that I do every day, that I'm in the office literally, but identification of patterns, emotional patterns, physical patterns, thought patterns,
that's
all sorts of patterns, and then correcting them or adjusting them.
And that's why biogenics is so important.
Yes.
To retrain the brain. Interestingly, yesterday I had a teacher come in, and she's been trying for years to get autogenic training introduced into school.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But the schools were not interested. They don't want something that works that well.
Oh my God.
Well,
part of the government, I guess, I imagine.
Well, I don't know anything.
Or bureaucracy, I should say. I'm sorry.
Is there anything that government does that's good? I'd like somebody, if you're out there and you can tell me something good without trouble that the government actually does, let us know. Because right now, I think it's at the top of my heap of uneven, illegal to some extent.
Ooh, I know something.
Dangerous stuff. What?
Government is really good at collecting taxes. How's that?
They're good at fooling you. They're good at lying to you. They're good at distorting the facts.
And let's mention briefly, and we're not going to get into the politics of it, but until we get further questions, again, every single time I see a person in the emergency room, in the office, the concept of stress and what's happening in our society right now, and why stress management, self-regulation is so important.
Well,
it's critical.
Well,
especially these days.
Look, in healthy people, your life is controlled to a huge extent by the tips of your DNA, the telomeres. And if you have good, healthy habits, you should live 100 years. You shrink your telomeres 1% every year of life in health. Now, the average American lives only 79 years because we don't have healthy habits. In just 2 weeks from Friday, I'll be 88, but I still feel 26 because I have healthy habits. That's all it is. It's not just genetics. My father died at age 53. Now, he smoked. He was a wonderful person, but he smoked, and that took an average of over 17 years from his life. And 4 of his brothers all died between 48 and 54 years of age. Brother number 6 lived 80 years without smoking. So it wasn't genes. It was, and we've got a call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hi, Norman. Hi, Sergey. This is Helene from Reno, Nevada.
Helene.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Helene.
So, there's a gentleman on Facebook who's asking somebody on Facebook to call in. So I'm calling in and I'm reading the question from him.
Mm-hmm.
He is from Sydney, Australia. His name is Mark Joshua Lenziski. Here I go. I'm going to read you the question, okay?
Yep.
Mark wants to know, how can he find resonance in the energy in my biofield? I can sense a blockage about 1/2 meter from my left flank. Could it be inflamed scar tissue? I have internal scar tissue from liposuction 9 years ago. I have spent years trying to find a holistic cure.
Yes, the only person who can help you with that is going to be a real holistic healer. If they don't hang out a shingle or advertise as being holistic, don't bother. You're wasting time. Now, we do consultations by Skype, preferably Zoom, and telephone, but I'm sure there's some in Australia, one of my favorite countries.
And I'd just like to address the energy and energy. Okay. We are in about a minute or so. We will be going to a break. We'll still stay live, but when we come back, we'll continue addressing this question. But I'd like to address, as long as we don't have any other callers, I'd like to continue talking about the energy field and how to work with that.
Well, obviously, the energy field is your human aura, and we'll be right back after the break.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay. So we're
still on live, by the way. So
yeah,
when
I hear that voice, you're on the break.
There we go. We were just a little bit early going into the break. She was still on the line.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I went ahead and she.
Yeah. So let's. Well, we can address that after the when we come back, because people are probably interested in hearing an answer. But I'd like to address certainly the topic of energy, because energy is so misunderstood.
Everything's energy.
Everything's energy.
There's nothing that's not energy. The air is energy, but remember, it's filled with the greatest energy in the world, scalar.
Scalar. So what are some of the practical ways that a person can go about optimizing their energy?
Well, it's releasing stress. That's the most practical thing in the world. Now, first of all, of course, it means having good health habits. Body mass index, 18 to 24. When you get up to a body mass index of 30, your life expectancy is decreased an average of 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's minimum. Number 2, smoking. 22% of adults still smoke. That knocks off anywhere from 7 to 20 plus years of life. Number 3, drinking Orex, antioxidants. I start my day with at least 20,000. You need a minimum to survive of 5,000. Now you can get 3/4 of that by having nature blessed hard cherry juice concentrate. And the average American gets 2.2, but their 2.2 is not the greatest usually. Let's face it, the fast food restaurants have zero.
Mm-hmm.
They have only toxins. I wouldn't eat lettuce at a fast food restaurant, let alone anything else. Next, 90% of Americans do no physical exercise, none. Knocking off years of life. Again, no exercise is equal to smoking 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes a day, equal in badness. And of course, sleeping 7 or 8 hours every night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't get by. I don't know how to survive, live, be functional without 8 hours of night.
You know, I have a suggestion. At some point, let's do a show just dedicated to lifestyle. Do you think?
Well, every show is dedicated to lifestyle.
Well, of course.
I'm concerned.
Yes, of course. That's the foundation. But I'm just saying, you know, let's just bring out all the research, because, you know, when we talk about all these things, it seems simple. Okay, so eat well, exercise, manage your stress.
To me, that's common sense.
Common sense.
So the evidence is so overwhelming. How could you argue with it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could argue with the average physician because they don't believe in vitamins. Now, we now know that because of Roundup and fluoride, the toxin level in the world, but especially in this country, is so great that we need about 20 times as much vitamin B as we needed 50 years ago.
Oh, the stressors are terrible.
The brain cannot function without adequate B complex.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman who came in today with hypertension, for instance, no B. No wonder his brain's not functioning well.
Yes.
You can't get it out of the air. I don't think the average person is a spirit. Now, I want to mention one thing about spiritual healing I didn't get to talk about before.
Mm-hmm.
I have 218 cases of EEGs of patients here in Springfield having their EEG affected by a spiritual healer as far as 1,000 miles away.
Would a spiritual healer be a potential for the gentleman in question?
Yes, actually,
who had a question?
For the guy from Australia.
Yes.
Absolutely. Spiritual healers, as Oberwald, the greatest spiritual healer who ever lived, as far as I'm concerned, as far as research is concerned, used to say another little touch of healing never hurt anybody.
Oh yeah, and how many letters of testimonial?
I have only 15,000 letters.
Oh my God, only 15,000
to her.
Yes.
Olga was one of my dear friends for many years, and since she had no children when she passed, I inherited a lot of her goodies. But the important thing is, my memory of the first time I visited her was October of 1972. A little church about 10 times the size of this room, maybe a little big, and 300 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
She laid hands on them, 1 or 2 minutes. There's a woman there who had breast cancer coming through the skin, the first one I'd ever seen like that.
Mm-hmm.
1 month later, she sent a letter, she was healed.
Wow.
Now,
we have about 30 seconds till we're back in the show.
So the important thing is,
thank you, Rob.
Think health. Everything you do is healthy. And by the way, speaking of that, I'm about to make a new biogenics exercise on Friday, Think and Grow Rich.
Wonderful.
The most important book ever written on the subject of finances and wealth.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about how to focus your energy to do that. So let's get back to the air.
Now, back to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
And good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. What's up?
I'm Charlie.
Okay. What's up, Charlie?
Well, I'm a caregiver for my wife, and I've talked to you about some of my issues that I've got. And I'm taking a number of things that you suggested that I take. And you had said that you wanted me to come by and see you, and I just am unable to leave my wife. And now with this virus, I don't have anyone in the house, and I don't have any way to get in there to see you.
How about on the phone or on Zoom? I mean,
yeah. Do you want me to call you at your office?
Well, remind me of what the problem is.
Well, back in September, I had a stroke. And they put me on some blood thinner and blood pressure medicine.
Right.
Now, I've got off that blood pressure medicine, and my blood pressure has been running. What I think it appears to be okay. I've been keeping kind of keeping track of it. Like earlier today, I took it as 135/64.
I wouldn't worry about that. That's okay.
And then one time before, it was 139/80.
Yeah, sounds good.
Officially, hypertension is 150/90.
Okay, well, I've been below that all the time, and I guess I'm thinking everything's okay, but I just wanted to touch base with you.
And what kind of evaluation have you had after the stroke? Did they check your arteries first, or did they do a CAT scan of your heart?
Yes, they did a CAT scan. Of course, they did a CAT scan first of my brain. They said there was no bleeding, and then they did an MRI, and they said that indicated I had a stroke. And they did a what they call echocardiogram of my heart.
Right.
And said everything was okay. He said I did still have the hole between the left side and the right side of my heart that I would have had at birth, but they didn't think that would be a problem. And they did an ultrasound of my carotid arteries and said that was all good. Everything was okay, except during the time whenever I was having that stroke, I may have triggered that, Dr. Shealy. I'm caregiver for my wife, and I had decided, since I was having such a tough time keeping up, I decided I'd go ahead and they'd put a catheter in her. And I was kind of ignorant. I didn't know that the catheter could leak, and I really had an issue with it. I had a really tough week and got stressed out. And I think I had some high blood pressure during that, but I think that was triggered because I was having so much stress with her problem with that catheter. I've got that all resolved now. I flush the catheter twice a day, and that seems to be working good for her and keeping her pretty dry. Maybe a little leakage, but not much. I can live with whatever I've got there. And I'm doing better on that. So I think my being stressed out during that period may be what caused me to have the problem.
Absolutely. Let me tell you the easiest way to bring your stress under control. Go to my website, realholisticdoc, realholisticdoc.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter, and you can find something called Autogenic Focus. Autogenic Focus. You get it free. Download it. If you don't want the newsletter, you can unsubscribe immediately afterwards. I want you to have Autogenic Focus. Practice that twice a day. It is the greatest proven stress reducer in the world.
All right, now I don't have the internet.
Ah, okay. Then you can't get it that way.
What about in the office? We have a disc.
Maybe. I think I could give you. Do you have a CD player?
I do have a CD player.
Okay, then you can pick up a CD at the office.
I can get a CD at your office?
Yeah.
Now we can also mail things as part of the consult as well, right?
I'm
we
sorry?
can, if there's a telephone consult, just to look at the big picture, we can also send things by mail, possibly. I'm just thinking out loud on the best ways to proceed. It sounds like there's hi, this is Dr. Shealy-Sorin. Just going to jump in, and I'm medical partner with Dr. Shealy. It sounds like stress is a big factor there. Yeah, a big factor.
Oh, yeah. And again, the best, most recognized, most researched, 28,000 scientific references on the benefits of autogenic training. There's nothing that comes close with reducing stress the way autogenic training can.
Okay, well, I do run out. You know, I run out and do errands for a few minutes, but I try not to be gone very long. And I did come by your office and pick up some of the things that you wanted me to be taking. I can maybe pick up a CD at your office then.
Right.
When could I do that most any time?
I'll be certain. I'll pick up one in the morning and be sure we've got one. So anytime after 9 o'clock in the morning.
After 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'll plan on doing that then.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
And now is your turn. You're on the air.
Hello.
Turn your radio off, please.
Radio is off.
Oh, well, that's the most noise I've ever heard.
I apologize. Is this the great internationally acclaimed Dr. Norman Shealy?
Hello, Bob. It is. What's going on?
I'll make her super quick. This is your friend Bob Monday, the Ozarks Jubilee.
Are you on a train? It sounds like.
I'm just in an old car taking some food to my wife in a nursing home. Two quick questions. Number one, how do you spell that artogenic deal for stress? I've been ministering for 25 years to veterans with PTSD, and that sounds like something they need.
Okay, shut up just for a minute. Let me spell it for you. AUTOGENIC. Self-generated.
Pick up some CDs for the veterans. I could buy some over at your place.
We don't, we're not actually making, you can't even buy CDs to make them anymore. So we're at the end of that particular technological advance.
Okay.
We still got some CDs left, though.
I've got a few.
Yeah.
Second quick question. For almost 3 years, I've been dealing with a damnable sinus infection that has bothered my hearing. That's hard on people that speak and for us singers. Besides coming in and getting the intravenous vitamin C, is there anything that I can put in my nostrils that will help knock this out? I'm sick and tired of it.
I don't think so. I mean, if it was much minor, you could put a couple of drops of castor oil in. That will take care of an acute. But in a chronic situation, the only thing I know is IV ozone and our vitamin C.
Okay, well, I'll call the office about that. May the good Lord bless and keep you all. Thank you for the great service to the people of the Ozarks, America, and around the world. Take care.
Thanks, Bob. Have a good one.
And amen.
And now, I don't. Where did all that noise come from?
Not sure.
It's
on his end. Yeah.
It certainly sounds like. Well, who knows? At any rate, now is your turn. 417-447-1777, or we'll keep talking about everything because it is all related to your health.
And speaking of PTSD and all the other stress-related things, because pretty much everything is stress-related. Everything. The course that's coming up, and not everyone has internet. We realize that, but most people do. And if you do, the online course is one of the best values for that.
Oh, of course. Basically, 80% or more off the retail price of over 60 biogenics tapes and exercise. So it covers everything you can think of, practically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Lifestyle, everything else. It
tells you how to think. And that's the most important thing, is thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, emotions, hopes, companions, despair. It's everything. Thinking. And it's every thought is a prayer. So you can't afford the luxury of thinking negativity. It's a stupid, unhealthy, killing habit to think negativity. I have never had to use detachment so much as I have in the last 6 months since the fakademic began.
Now, let me ask you, how long did it take you to realize about the fakademic?
About 1 day. The first day it started, I said, this is false, fake, nonsense, fraud, Luciferian takeover. In case you've not heard of it, the Committee of 300 was established by the King of England in 1727. There's a book by John Coleman that gets it. There's several other books by David Icke and a few others as well. This evil Lucifer-run group has the goal of owning the earth and decreasing the population of the earth by 75%. With 1 to 2% of the people surviving, owning everything and everybody else being servants to them, essentially.
And according to the research with telomeres, at least, and much else, they're succeeding.
They are succeeding big time. We've got a statistician spending hours trying to put this together at the moment. But basically, it took people who had gained 8% growth in their telomeres in the first 6 months. The average one lost at least almost all of that gain And the people that didn't have the active process in the placebo lost more than the people who got the active process. So this fakademic is affecting health more than anything in the last 100 years at least.
And from what I hear, from what I understand, it's not over yet.
Oh, it isn't even nearly over. And it's going to be worse if things don't get better in the next 6 weeks.
That's right. Now, how effective, and I already know the answer, I think, how effective do you think biogenics plus the Scalar plus the PMF can be in taking care of that stress?
I think probably 98%.
And that's...
I feel as if I've survived this whole thing with no problem. And largely because I use the Scalar, I use the PEMF, and I do the biogenics every day of my life.
Yep. The idea of self-regulation is very important, and I like the idea, and we'll keep talking until we have a caller, but the higher the stressor, the more the challenge, the more the difficulty, the greater the opportunity to look within yourself and to become stronger, better, more capable. And this is, to me, a crisis is a perfect opportunity to say, hey, how am I doing?
Hey, and how am I going to detach from those things I cannot change?
Because if you can deal with this pandemic, you can deal with anything, literally.
That is true.
For the most part. Well, I shouldn't say anything, but most part.
In one way or another. We deal with it one way or another. But, interestingly, I got a phone call last night from the daughter of my dear friend, John Collins. He died recently. And John and I've been friends since she was a baby. We met him when our first child was just 9 months old. And, do your blood cells address chronic inflammation and scar tissue? Yes. The important blood cells for inflammation would be fire, earth, and crystal.
Let's talk about the circuits and just what, because some people might not know what bliss oils are.
Well, bliss oils are specific, intuitively received, and chemically, scientifically proven. Fire raises DHEA, the anti-stress hormone. The most important hormone in your body is DHEA. Earth raises calcitonin. Calcitonin is stronger than morphine in reducing pain, but it's also critical for keeping your bones from falling apart. And crystal reduces free radicals a whopping 80%. I know of nothing else that reduces free radicals 80%. By using this combination, you can markedly reduce the biochemical and physical reactions to stress.
And the combination of these three actually enhances telomeres as well. Yes. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
We have proven for years in huge numbers of people that telomeres grow an average of 3.5% every year if you use these three oils. It takes you 90 seconds a day. Mm-hmm. That's how long it takes. Every day after I finish my shower, I sit on the edge of the tub and put them on.
Yep, I actually use all five, actually, as a matter of fact.
Well, yes, but the important ones for telomeres are those three. The other two have other benefits. I like air because it raises oxytocin, the nurturing, the bonding hormone, the love hormone. And, of course, water balances aldosterone, the hormone your adrenal glands makes to balance water and potassium.
Mm-hmm. And this technology has been around since 90s.
Well, as electricity existed in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was 2011 that we introduced the bliss oils.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Well.
So, Mark, I hope in Sydney, Australia, you're still listening and that our talk can be of help to you.
And I would also suggest maybe a Skype consultation or something of that nature, because if, Dr. Shealy, can you activate one of the, perhaps one of the spiritual healers as well during this, or can you ask somebody for, in other words, to clear and to also assist in that aspect?
Well, I can't do that during a consultation on the phone.
But thereafter.
We can do it afterwards, yes.
Yeah, so that would be the...
Again, spiritual healing can assist healing of everything. I mean, from cancer, as I said, the most remarkable case I ever saw of cancer killed away in 1 month was with Olga Warren, the great healer. And there are 3 great healers today. I mean, actually, I got 16 different healers we've used to show their effect on EEG. And one of those is I can do it from outside the room. I don't know if about 1,000 miles away, but at least outside the room, I could change your EEG.
Mm-hmm. And again, I like the idea of being able to reproduce show with the empirical data in real time. That's just
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And that's the foundation to me of real research. It is holistic. It has to be effective and safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the important thing is take care of yourself. Then anything else you do, whatever it is, making this pen, that's great help. I wouldn't know how to do that. I'd be totally frustrated trying to do that. Making this microphone, making this paper, all of this is just as good as healing
Mm-hmm.
because it helps people. Anything that you do that helps healing, helps people, is healing and beneficial and spiritual. That's what life is about, spiritual reality.
And I do want to say, for the record, that if there's ever, I'm just saying, another lockdown or another attempt at a lockdown, I just want to say attempt because I don't want to see it in real life, and there's no reason for it. There's no scientific, there's nothing to account for that whatsoever. We've done countless hours of research on that. If there's ever an announcement of a non-essential, so to speak, employees, that's nonsense. I mean, really, what is essential?
Well, insanity is not understandable. And in my opinion, the government is insane, and it always has been to some extent, but it's worse than ever in the past. Now, maybe it was just as bad. Well, actually, when Constantine was alive, it was just as bad. Constantine, the great murderer, is the one who actually created, or had created, the New Testament. He refused to allow them to include reincarnation because he didn't want people to think they had a second chance. And the old bastard didn't even convert himself until he was on his deathbed. He felt he was so crazy, he thought that his sins would be forgiven just by converting on dying. In my opinion, I hope his karma has come around many times since. But who knows? It's his life, not mine.
Ultimately, it comes down to a couple of just very basic things. Be of value. Do something that helps others.
Yes.
Do something that's reflect your true self. And our true self is we are human beings. We're meant to help each other. We're meant to make the world a better place. We're meant to make ourselves better each and every day.
Well, I mean, look at what it takes to run this radio station.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many people it takes, but the person at the front desk, Rob, all the other people, it must be another half dozen people at least who are essential for making this happen. And that's a relatively small number of people for something this important.
And I'm just going to say something. The term holistic, it applies to everything. Holistic in society means every single person has a purpose. Every single person has a role. Every single thing has a, in other words, it's all important.
And every thought is a prayer.
And every thought is a prayer. Yeah.
And thinking is what controls you and your body and your benefit to other people. That's what it is. It requires positive, focused thinking. So the important thing is you are responsible. I can't help you breathe. I mean, I don't even have an artificial respirator that I could put on you. I could pump your chest a little bit, but I can't do anything for you except teach you how to take care of yourself. And everything that I know and have learned and worked with since at least 1971 is focused on positive health with no damage.
Exactly. Self-regulation and stress management, those are key words in life.
Brings us back to the BIOGENICS Course.
Yes.
BIOGENICS, BIOGENICSCOURSE.com. Available with well over 60 different varieties of self-regulation exercise at over 80% off the retail cost. Go to it, BIOGENICSCourse.com, and you can sign up for it right now. And soon there'll be another one added to it on Friday. We're making the next one. And you'll get that one as well when you sign up for the course. And to me, it is the foundation for training your body, your mind, your brain, and fulfilling your sole purpose in life, which is to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
Every thought is important. You can't afford the luxury of negative thinking. That's the important thing. So, despite the fake-edemic, the fraud-edemic, the pseudodemic, whatever it is, I don't actually let it affect me. It doesn't change my pulse or my heart rate, and I don't think it changes my biochemistry because I don't allow it to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wallow in the manure.
Exactly.
And in fact, of course, I don't call it BS because that's an insult to the bull.
Mm-hmm.
It is much bigger than that, so I call it whale. And you can imagine what else I put after that. If you don't know, well, call me and I'll tell you.
Yes, I certainly agree with that assessment there.
And don't forget, in addition, scalar. All empty space is filled with scalar energy. In empty space, the size of a helium molecule is enough energy to boil the ocean. Think about that as you breathe. Ask your brain, your soul, to focus that energy optimally for your health and well-being. That, to me, is perhaps the single most important use of scalar energy. It's using your mind and brain to ask and expect to use that empty space scalar energy, not to boil the ocean, but to optimize your health, to get rid of inflammation, to keep your immune system strong, to help you sleep well, to help you predict and create your own optimal health.
And reality. And life.
Well, that's reality is what you make it.
That's right.
Thinking is how it makes your reality.
Exactly. And I do want to say we're almost finished here as far as the time for this week, but well, I guess where we are. Yeah.
And until next week, y'all have a good one.
And we'll stay until a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of another wonderful segment on, including live on YouTube, on Facebook. Now, Dr. Shealy, any other pearls of wisdom from this week's activities? Because every week brings us something.
Well, again, to me, think about it. What stresses you? Can you change it? If you can't, detach. Now, if you're standing in front of a car, you want to jump out of the road.
Yes.
Standing on the train track, you want to get off the train track. But if it's government, if it's weather, if it's the fake news, I haven't turned on a television at all in well over 3 years, and I plan on never turning it on again. I'm not willing to waste my time trying to find something I'm willing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
To me, conservatively, 90% of what's on the mainline media is something I don't want to contaminate my thinking with.
Exactly.
I don't trust them, even to tell me the weather.
And there is no good reason to keep doing something over and over again without a good reason for it.
Exactly.
In other words, so that's Einstein's concept of insanity.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Watching the same movie and expecting a different outcome.
That's right. So in the movie of your life, in the movie of all of our life, and interesting. In the movie of, for example, in your life, you are the main character. In the movie of my life, I'm the main character, or I get to play the hopefully protagonist, not antagonist. Although some of us make ourselves into antagonists, but we have a choice. We can actually, it's interesting if you think about it this way. If you were to produce a movie of your life, just a little visual there. And if one were to visualize all the power, all the capacity, all the things that may be possible with intent, with a positive intent-driven, purpose-driven, and proper follow-through on life. Every thought is a prayer. Every thought, everything is energy. And you put that energy to good use, my God, what can we accomplish? It's amazing.
And just keep thinking positively until we see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Dr. Shealy?